You are watching the Western Athletic Conference on ESPN+. We shut down the ACU home tournament tonight, alumni weekend in Moody Coliseum for ACU Volleyball. It's Grambling against Abilene Christian. Welcome courtside here inside Moody Coliseum. I'm Chris Jared, the awesome London Gray all night long to my left. London, it's been a nice bounce back for Abilene Christian, a tough loss to Texas A&M Commerce for ACU. They bounce back and pick up back-to-back wins. Feels like they're back on track a little bit.
It does, and I think that they're really looking forward first to this match, getting this one out of the way, and then really building up and taking on Texas Tech.
As we start the awesome intro video here inside Moody Coliseum, let's take a look at the impact players in tonight's match. Starting first for Abilene Christian, the graduate student, Brianna Box.
Out of the middle, Brianna Box has racked up 27 kills yesterday, which is pretty impressive. She's taking her 5th year at ACU, which she took the pass for at ACU, which is saying something about her being and staying on this team and coaches wanting her around. And then for Grambling, we have Nia Ellis. She is playing at a 3.86 digs per set this season. Coach Phillips said that she is a leader out on the court, and we expect to see the team wrap around her in this next game.
Yeah, and defense going to be pivotal for a Grambling team that has had a tough stretch here at the ACU tournament. Let's now take a look at London, your keys in tonight's match. Starting first for Abilene Christian, if they want to keep this positive train rolling, what do they got to do tonight to pick up the win?
Tonight, Abilene Christian really needs to capitalize on errors. Grambling, they're going to make some errors during this game, and Abilene doesn't need to stoop to that level. They need to press hard, foot on the gas, and make sure that they keep them down when they get down. And then the next key that we have here is utilizing depth. Let's move the ball around. Let's see different ways that we can score, get them to move on defense. And then the keys for Grambling is just limiting those mistakes, especially since they just came off of another match. They're probably tired. They need to keep that ball in ACU's court, try to keep those errors low. And then lastly, relying on experience. This team has 13 upperclassmen compared to ACU's 10 underclassmen. So in those high-pressure situations, we might see those upperclassmen step up and really calm the team down.
And you could see at the bottom of that graphic, too, Abilene Christian against Providence last night trailed 2-0 before the Wildcats surged back and took the final 3 remaining sets to make it 2 wins in a row. Let's take a look at the starting lineups first for Abilene Christian University and see how they line it up in tonight's match against Grambling. And you're going to see some of the depth and the experience that we talked about as well, but then the underclassmen too. And Rachel Koss getting the start as she has been tasked to take over for the junior setter Maddie Guffey, who has been out in the last stretch of games. But Brianna Box, our impact player as well. Abilene Christian in London, you just mentioned it. We talked about it before the start of the broadcast. As we now take a look at the starting lineups for Grambling, the Tigers coming in, dropping in their last 2 matches that they've had at this ACU tournament. But ACU, a full day rest, did not play in any action today, and it's been Grambling that has had to take on this now their 2nd match of the day, and here's their starting lineup for tonight's match.
Yeah, closing out a tournament is always tough. Both teams are probably tired. I think it'll come down to who can give the most energy and effort in this game.
All right, Wildcat fans, get on your feet.
Getting set to start this match between Abilene Christian and Grambling. The Tigers out of the SWAC, ACU in the WAC. Neither have started conference play yet, as we're getting set to get this one underway. Again for ACU, it was a tough loss against Texas A&M Commerce, where it was back and forth the entire time, and the Cats dropped that 5th set, a tough one. And then EJ Moronu-Alstrup just said she was proud of how her team was able to bounce back and proud of the effort that they saw, again, on alumni weekend. Head coach EJ Moronu-Alstrup said that she's excited for some alumni to come back and see this awesome new renovations at Moody Coliseum and how much things have changed since her playing days.
Yeah, it's an exciting new atmosphere, and I know the girls are excited to play in it and exciting to have the alumni watch them.
We are off and going between Abilene Christian and Grambling in set number 1. An early attack for ACU. Now here come the Tigers. ACU been doing well this season as that one goes long. London, we talked about trying to capitalize for the Wildcats, capitalize on the mistakes that Grambling can commit, and try to limit the ones of your own, of course.
Right. First, they're going to have to get those out-of-system balls in play, but you know that might have just been nerves. Let's see how this next point goes.
Just clears. And a nice dig to keep it alive. An attack opportunity and a point found for Abilene Christian. And the Cats on the board.
That was a smart play by Alexis Strong, coming off of an error, playing it safe and using that tool, and it was a good point.
We talked about the underclassmen for ACU. Strong, the freshman, 6'1" outside hitter from Louisville, Kentucky. She was 8 for 29 in the attacks department against Commerce. Both of those career highs, and there's one of the mistakes that we talked about, and another point for Abilene Christian.
Chris and I were talking before the game, saying that Grambling gives up a lot of aces, and so they're really going to need to step up their serve receive because ACU has some pretty good servers on that back line.
Well, we talked about it too. This ACU Wildcats team has the Red Raiders from Texas Tech coming to Moody on Tuesday. It won't be the first time they've played them this season, though. They had the Red Raiders in Lubbock a stretch earlier in the season, and ACU gave Texas Tech a pretty good fight, taking that first set, as we see a nice block up front. In the aces department, they were great against the Red Raiders, and there's another strike and a kill for ACU, and they stretch their lead. Just off and going in the early phases of set number 1. ACU already with a service ace that we saw just a few moments ago.
And another.
Yeah, just couldn't clear as Abilene Christian doing the service of giving it over the net and then allowing Grambling to take it from there. Grambling team that in the preseason SWAC poll was tabbed to finish right in the middle, 5th, with Florida A&M leading the way in the SWAC. For Abilene Christian, though, still in the early stages under a new regime of E.J. Moronu-Alstrup. They were tabbed to finish 10th out of the 11. Stephen F. Austin leading the way in the WAC preseason polls. 5-1 stretch for Abilene Christian and a nice start in set number 1. We mentioned the last match out on Friday. 5 full sets, but ending the way you'd love for it to end. What a dig on the back end by Carrizales.
Carrizales was coming off of a really great tournament at Tech. She got the all-tournament team, and Alstrup is expecting her to keep doing good things for them.
Back end and swatted over. What a kill attempt, but the Tigers standing tall up front. And denied at the gate was Edmiston, but it deflects and bounces out of bounds. And so that'll be another point for ACU as they continue a nice start to set number 1, exactly how you'd like to start tonight's match.
Edmiston is a undersized outside, and Coach had been talking to us about how they want to figure out different ways for her to score, and that tool is exactly what they had been wanting.
Free one up front for Brianna Box, and the rest takes care of itself. A dig opportunity for Grambling that cleared the back end of the net, came right over for Box, the grad student from Wichita Falls, Texas. As we saw our impact player for tonight's match. There's a good look at Abby Christian, the freshman out of Kansas City, Missouri. One of the many underclassmen that can help headline the mix of talent for this ACU team. That one goes too long. And another point in the lap of the Wildcats. Up 7 here early in set 1. You just mentioned it, London. Ashley Edmiston, sophomore. Moronu-Alstrup was thrilled with how her team has played, but she said specifically Edmiston over in Lubbock, a fantastic job against the Red Raiders. That one goes long. And that'll be a point for Grambling. Something we talked about before the start of the broadcast was how against Texas A&M Commerce, Abilene Christian seemed like they were long on a lot of their service looks. But you said those are aggressive looks, and you can notice the difference between those aggressive looks or if it's just a miss hit.
Right. I mean, Larson just got a couple of aces, so you know that she has the capability of getting a good serve in. That ball just might have been a miss hit. It was a good aggressive miss. They had a great run, and they just got the ball back, so next point.
Attacking the defensive specialist, libero Nia Ellis, the 5'5" senior. Just a few hours down the road, a native of Grapevine, Texas. That one clears over. Zion Smith for Grambling gets it back across to ACU, and a miscue by the Wildcats. Match just starting, trying to get under the same on the same page. And again, a full day's rest in a tournament like this. Maybe just taking a little bit to try and get back in sync.
Having a grad student as a middle and a freshman as a setter, you're going to have those misconnections every now and then.
Edmiston again has that deflected, but it's a bounce that goes out of bounds, and last touch by Grambling will give ACU another point. Here comes the freshman Rachel Koss checking back in. London 50 assists against Texas A&M Commerce for the freshman.
She's moving around the court well, making sure that she's getting her hands on the ball, that she can run that offense.
Nice attack, and it was last touched by ACU. And so the Tigers will make some substitutions as they get another point on the board. Wildcats pacing set number 1 pretty well. Tough stretch for Grambling, as we talked about before the start of the match. Not going to play their next home match until October 5th. That was tipped up front, and Box just had the opportunity to get it across, and it found the hard floor. That's crazy, though. October 5th, the stretch from your next home match.
That is mentally tough.
It's got to
be on the road that long.
And the head coach for Grambling, Paige Phillips, we talked to her, and she said that it doesn't seem like it's too crazy with they take on Louisiana Monroe the last time out as the Tigers tally up another one on the board. But yeah, I mean, look at this stretch where they had Louisiana at Monroe. They take that one 3-2 in a match that went back and forth, goes to the 5th set, and the Tigers won it. But then they've got the LA Tech tournament coming up not too far from Grambling in Louisiana.
But there's just something about the energy of playing on your own court that they won't be able to feel for a while.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. You get back home and you're thinking, oh, this is our home gym.
Forgot what it looked like.
Haven't been here in a long time.
Yeah.
But that next one, again, October 5th will be the next time against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Another point for the Wildcats, and we've talked about her enough. There's EJ Moronu-Alstrup in her first season, and London, a former player herself. It's been about 15 years, and on an alumni weekend has some former teammates back and some really, really special teams that Moronu-Alstrup was a part of in Abilene.
I think everyone in the athletic community here at ACU is really excited to see an alumni back in this position, and they all just have great things to say about her. And I was even coached by her at summer camps.
Yeah, EJ said that in talking about getting acclimated with coaching, the transition from a player to a coach, and she said, well, as that's a nice attack on the back end by Grambling. They get another point on the board and down to a 6-point lead for ACU.
Now serving the Lady Tigers, number 8, Nia Ellis.
Grambling's really utilizing that deep corner. I think they've gotten about 3 kills over there so far.
Yeah, good stretch, tucked it in. But talking as well about what to expect from Moronu-Alstrup and her time here. So excited to have the alumni back and give them a look. Again, let her do her thing in action and see what it's like with her coaching. But she said in the transition to coaching, she coached voluntarily her entire time here at ACU with camps and coaching, you know, the kids teams and whatnot. And she said it just kind of was a natural transition.
Mm-hmm. That's great. You can see she seems comfortable in that position.
Yeah. Back in with Christian on the serve. Tigers cleared across. Good setup on the back end, but deflected up front by Grambling. And pushed across, but right to the net. As the Wildcats try to catch Grambling sleeping there, but it just caught the top end of the net. Some substitutions on both ends. 14-8 lead for Abilene Christian against Grambling.
I think right now they have some room to mix in those kinds of different shots and just see where they can catch Grambling slacking.
And that's what set one is, right? Just kind of seeing what you see defensively from the opposing team as that one's just lofted back over. Backhand tip. Just goes too long. on the far stripe as Strong was looking to try and find that back line. Just a little bit too much gas on it, and it goes long. And a Cauldron from Dallas, Texas on the serve for Grambling, and the Wildcats can't settle it down. And Cauldron will do it again. SWAC preseason setter of the year named by the SWAC, and a first teamer as well. And again from Dallas, Texas. Cauldron again, and a tough dig to the freshman Christian.
That was a great serve.
Just in terms of where Christian fielded it, or with where it was?
It was flat, it was fast, and they're targeting that freshman back there.
Yeah. Preseason first team all SWAC again for Cauldron.
Great pass.
What a dig by Cauldron as after the serve gets right back in the middle of the defense. Backhand and lofted in the air. Strong had a chance, and she'll get another one. Tipped around and pushed across by Grambling, and give them another point. Tigers making this first set close. And that momentum, London, how contagious is that when those swings, I mean, volleyball is such a game of swings, as we see a timeout taken by ACU. Right now, Grambling, all the momentum.
Yeah, that momentum's huge. And like we were talking about before the game, that libero, Nia Ellis, she's leading that on that defense. And you're seeing the defense step up, and that can just really contribute to the energy out there.
Paige Phillips, the head coach, in the huddle for Grambling, and her assistant, Paige Shaw. They've got help as well on the coaching staff, but we'll go ahead and step aside from Moody Coliseum. It's a 2-point lead for the Wildcats. We'll be back with the rest of set number 1 after a short break. ACU 9 for 23 on their kills and attempts so far, but Grambling with a nice push to make this a 2-point set. In set number 1, and Bozier with the kill.
That was a great play all around. Great pass, great set, and the swing.
Taking the serve and just clean. A smooth operation by ACU to turn it around into points. And that might help the swing of momentum. A timeout by Maronu Alstrup, trying to slow the pace and get her Wildcats back on track. An attempt on the back end by Nevaeh Scott. Set up on the near side this time, blocked up front, and it eats up Koss in front of the net. Grambling applying the pressure, and they pick up another point, and it's back to a 2-point ACU lead.
Grambling runs a little bit of a slower offense than ACU, so getting that block timing down from something that they're not used to might be a little bit of a struggle for them for now.
Picking it up in set number 1 and still in front. Good serve there as ACU able to just volley it back to the Tigers. Blocked up front, and Koss couldn't get to it, but a really tough ask. And the speed that one had after it was deflected. Now it's a 1-point lead for ACU. Tigers showing fight, and strong on the outside hitter from Kai Williams, the junior from New Orleans. Nia Blair will serve it across to ACU, and it runs too long. And that might squander the momentum a little bit. That's tough. You have some nice momentum going with some strong net play, but then a serve that just goes a little bit too long. Sarah Carrizales ready to serve it in for ACU. Just tips the net, and what a serve as Nia Blair couldn't get to it. Great look by Carrizales, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas. She had 3 service aces against Houston Christian. That was the first match of the season, but it's been her best in the matches that she's played since. Lofted back across by Blair. Attempt for box, and it tucks itself in the line nicely, and another point for ACU.
Running that middle is really working for ACU, and I expect them to keep doing that until Grambling's able to respond.
keep it in the hands of Carrizales. A service ace and then a point on the recent go-around. Zion Smith forced to just get it back over. Tipped across Edmiston, but the Tigers handle it. Cross backdoor box.
There it goes.
Had it tipped. And another point for ACU. The bench with the energy, contagious. And ACU closing in on that 20 mark in set number 1. Oh, and it just eats up Nia Blair. Again, got a bad read on it. That's a freshman back there from Arlington, Texas. But Carrizales applying the pressure so much that Paige Phillips has to stop this one before it gets any further. Abilene Christian building themselves a nice 6-point advantage here in set number 1. We've got about a minute break, so we'll go ahead and step aside on ESPN Plus. We'll come back and wrap up set number 1 from Moody Coliseum. Wildcats leading 2014 in set number 1. Let's take a look at the last timeout for ACU inside Moody Coliseum. London, look at that defensive effort. They hold the Fighting Hawks to underneath 20 points in the first 2 sets, and they swept North Dakota to make it their 2nd straight win.
Point, Grambling State. Now serving for the Lady Tigers.
Right out of the timeout, ACU with a serve that goes too long. So Grambling with it back in their possession. ACU on a stretch to make it as big as a 6-point lead. Tipped up front, but Edmiston too strong to pick up another kill. And she's been solid in this first set so far. She improves that percentage to 4 for 8, and even 500 percentage and no errors so far for the sophomore.
That is a high hitting percentage for an outside.
Rachel Koss gets it over. And a near side attempt tipped. Nothing Carrizales can't handle. Back end. Meckelberg was denied at the door. Box takes a swing at it. And a big kill to make it a 7-point ACU lead.
That was a great setting decision by number 4 Koss.
We're just, we talked about the depth. We're seeing that depth. It's been Edmiston. It's been Meckelberg. It's been Box. It's been Bozier. Just gets over. Back in for Williams. She lofts it over. Carrizales lays out. How did that get over? It didn't.
Oh.
What an effort by the Wildcats.
Point, Grambling State.
You could almost hear the disappointment from this home crowd for ACU that wanted that to still be alive.
We all wanted to see that work
Yeah.
out.
Jada Felix, the grad student, in to serve it for Grambling. Back end look for Edmiston, but it runs too far.
Point for Lady Tigers.
Give it back to Grambling as we're going back and forth a bit late in set number 1. What's the feel like when you start a match out with a set 1 win?
Oh, great. It's usually great unless you get a little bit too comfortable.
Yeah.
But I think ACU needs that. I don't think that they need to put themselves in a high-pressure, urgent situation from the get-go. I think they play better when they're more calm.
That stayed in. Nice look from this near side and almost ran too far on the opposite end, but just tucked in there to give ACU their 23rd point. And again, Edmiston, the sophomore, enjoying a really good start to this match against Grambling.
And you see they feel pretty confident about closing out this first set, so they're going to have this freshman come in and serve.
Edmiston will check out for the moment. This is Chloe Karn, as London mentioned, the 6'2" freshman. Great serve, gets it across, box, nails the door shut. And ACU flirting with a set 1 victory. Let's see this one again. Just right in that dead zone where Box was able to capitalize. Karn again with the serve. Near side attempt, just lofted back over, and a great soft spot found by Zion Smith, the senior from Fort Worth. Karn will check out, and Edmiston back in for ACU. And it's Smith to serve it in for Graham. Cats need a point to pick up a set one win, and they get it. Meckelberg comes in and has it deflected, but goes to the friendly side of the net, and Abilene Christian picking up a set one win, 25-18. We'll go ahead and step aside from Moody Coliseum, take another break, and come back and keep this one rolling on ESPN+. Set two coming your way next. Back inside Moody Coliseum on the campus of Abilene Christian University. Chris Jared, London Gray with you. And the Wildcats picking up a 25-18 set one win, and clean, London, as we talked about limiting the mistakes. You look at some of these players for Abilene Christian and no errors committed, and that's huge when you can have that, just clean attacks and clean kills.
That is huge. We have a lot of players hitting at 1,000%. We have Box, Meckelberg, Bozier, Larson. Some good stats coming into that first set, closing out that first set, coming into the second.
Edmiston as well, 5 for 11 outside of 2 errors committed, so that diminishes that hitting percentage a little bit. But you'll take that from a sophomore all day long. Underway in set number 2. The Wildcats go right to Bozier. Strong middle game and on the board first in the second set.
Those middle attacks are really starting with the defense and delivering good passes and good digs back there.
Leaning on the freshman, Abby Christian had 2 service aces against Texas Tech as a freshman. Comes right in and handles the job that was asked of her from her head coach, E.J. Morono-Alstrup. Tigers picking up a point as we're just underway in the second set. Nia Blair's ready to go, but needs a ball to do so first, and she's got one. We're closing up the ACU home tournament inside Moody Coliseum with this matchup on this Saturday evening. Tipped across by Strong. Backhand attempt that goes too far for Zion Smith, and another point for ACU. After this, though, it's going to be the Red Raiders from Texas Tech coming to town. A purple out and a rematch from an earlier matchup that ACU dropped 3-1. But they won that first set against Texas Tech. It was pretty close in the final 3, but Red Raiders able to come out of that with a win. And now it's ACU's turn to play host. Again, that one this upcoming Tuesday. Match starts at 6. Near side attack for Edmiston, and clean. Tucks it in and continues a strong night.
That was a great swing to the deep corner. You can tell that the setter is kind of leading the outside hitter inside a little bit, so they have that great direct angle to that side of the court.
Long run for Calderon, but she gets to it. Lofted back across by Smith. Edmiston tries to find the middle. Grambling with an attack, and the door shut. That was Kai Williams that tried to find any opening by the net. But ACU standing tall as we take another look. That was Bozier. Had the helping hand to give ACU another point.
Great read.
Yeah, Carrizales laying out. And Bozier again, this time a soft touch to get it back over and finds a soft spot.
Bozier's really been utilizing that throw to the corners this season, and I wonder if that's something that they've been developing in practice this year.
Izzy Larson gets us back in action. Near side attack for Williams, clean dig by Carrizales. Larson goes too far. Too strong on the swing, and Grambling picking up their second point of set number 2.
Now serving for the Lady Tigers, number 10,
Abilene Christian, we mentioned the last time out, a 3-set sweep over the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota. It was their second straight win. An attempt to build on that momentum tonight before Texas Tech arrives to town. Searching for the middle ground, man, no one was there.
Wow. Grambling looks like they're starting to really feel the pressure.
Looked like it was just kind of an in-betweener for Maggie Plush and Anna Cauldron, and then it just found the floor. Carrizales back in action again. And the Tigers can't settle the serve down. As Carrizales, you can see how comfortable she is from that service spot. Prying at this Tigers defense. 7-2 ACU out in front in the second set. And that one goes too far. It's been a good turnout at Moody Coliseum, and it's been kind of nice just with constant action inside Moody starting on Friday when it was North Dakota and Grambling to get the action going. That was a 1 o'clock match before ACU was able to host Providence. Going near side for Edmiston, and she finishes the job. Goes right at the grad student, Jada Felix. You could see just a little bit of frustration, London, that it's just tough to field.
Right. That's difficult when the middles are doing so well, so you want to put that block on them,
right,
and then it makes your block late on the outside.
It's a good look from our crew back in the studios. A clean attack by Zion Smith. Felt like she had a lot of room to work with there. And the senior outside hitter picking up another kill. Mentioned the Providence match. ACU trailed 2-0 and then surged back. London, you've been a part of those 2-0 deficits. You come back to win 3-2.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, I mean, in that mindset, is it just one set at a time, 1 point at a time, one trip at a time?
Yeah, one rep at a time.
Yeah.
Nail this pass, nail this set, nail this swing. You just got to slow it down at that point.
Izzy Larson will head to the bench. They go back to Rachel Koss, fellow freshman, as Edmiston gets it back across the net. 5-point advantage for ACU in the second set. And deflected up front, but point to the Tigers. Nia Ellis back to do the serving. Picked up 9 assists in that ULM win. That was a season high. Stands still as the lone win for the Tigers this season so far. And a really tough non-conference schedule before SWAC play begins. Going far side for Meckelberg. And picks up the kill.
I love it when I see the setter go back to the same player back to back. Shows them that they have confidence in them. Says, here, try again.
Yep, right here.
They get that kill.
That one almost gets you.
It did almost get me. I dodged it.
Quick reaction over here. Blair gets it back across. Koss to Strong. How about that, freshman to freshman for ACU?
Koss is doing a great job of really moving that ball around now. Showing Grambling all of the offensive threats that ACU has.
Brianna Box for ACU with a good serve. Scott goes right back to Blair, but can't clear the net, and another point for ACU. London, we saw the Wildcats in the first set kind of hit a lull right around this spot, and Grambling was able to even it back up, but ACU just kind of persevered. But right now, the momentum still with the Wildcats.
ACU just needs to focus on their side of the court, what they're doing. Don't worry about what Grambling is doing. Just be able to react.
That one stays in. And give another point to the Tigers. So they'll make some substitutions as ACU will make a few of their own. Brianna Box to the bench. Anna Cauldron gets it back in action. Meckelberg to Carrizales, who just had to try to get it back over, but maybe a miss hit and finds the net. Point back to Grambling here with a 12-7 advantage ACU. There's Paige Phillips and Paige Shaw, coaches for Grambling. Two very good friends, and Phillips said that met Paige Shaw in club play and then knew that when she took the job and came over from North Carolina Central, a fellow HBCU, just said that Shaw was the one that she wanted on that staff. And it's Paige Phillips, Paige Shaw for Grambling. Second season for Phillips. And a 12-4 improvement in conference play in the SWAC last year. That's a great start in your first season. Bozier with it tipped up front. Back end for Williams, or that was Nia Blair that picks up the kill. And Grambling nibbling it back closer. It's a 3-point advantage for ACU.
Cauldron's really putting pressure on them back in that service line. ACU's kind of scrambling now with those 2 unforced errors and then a kill on Grambling's part just then.
Edmiston. Back end Meckelberg has it deflected and give a point to the Wildcats. Williams tried to keep that alive off her foot. Meckelberg to the bench. Abby Christian back in for ACU. For the most part, Abilene Christian has not experienced too many droughts in this match, as they took set 1, 25-18, and give a point to Grambling to put them in double digits in set number 2, but a 13-10 lead for ACU.
Now serving for the Lady Tigers, number 24, Nia Blair.
Seeing the communication from both teams out on the floor as Blair gets ready to serve this one across. Goes too far. And another mistake will give it back to Abilene Christian. Some keys to the match that we had, London, we talked about for ACU. Take the mistakes that Grambling gives you, but then for the Tigers, of course, naturally to limit those.
Right. ACU is kind of giving away a lot of unforced errors right now, so they need to kind of step back, see that, start playing clean, and Grambling needs to be able to respond to them.
Kept alive by the Tigers on another nice serve by the Wildcats. Edmiston feels like she's been unmatched tonight for ACU, picks up another kill.
That's a Grambling State timeout.
London 9 for 17 tonight for the sophomore Edmiston.
She is really moving that ball around. She is hitting those deep corners on both sides. It's kind of hard as a defense to see where that ball is going to go and make a positive response to that. She's just utilizing that whole court.
15-10 lead for Abilene Christian. We'll step aside right in the middle of set number 2. Come back to Moody Coliseum with us after a short break on ESPN+. We'll be back in action in the second set. Wildcats in front by 5. Chris Jarrett and London Gray with you inside Moody Coliseum. And the Wildcats have led most of the second set, but a nice loft across by Grambling to pick up another point. They've been working away as Nevaeh Scott puts herself back in the stat sheet. Junior from Louisville, Kentucky. Just a miss hit, can't get it over. And so give it right back to Abilene Christian. London, some of the things we've been talking about is, especially after set 1, how many clean hit percentages that ACU had as a team. The Wildcats swinging it at 31% to Grambling's 20.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think that that has a lot to do with ACU's fast offense in that block. They're leaving a lot of room for them to swing, just like ACU just left for Grambling just then.
Back-to-back points, or I should say 2 out of the 3 for the Tigers as they'll make some switches. But this is a clean kill up front at the net.
Back to serve for the Lady Tigers.
On the back end from Cauldron, a beautiful setup for Williams, or that was Blair again. Here's Felix on the serve, put it in a great spot, but Larson laid out for it. That one almost got the best of Ellis, and it does eventually go out of bounds. Larson with the effort to keep it alive. Wildcats get it over, and they pick up a point in the action.
Something positive for Grambling here is you can really see their defense moving around. They're shifting. They're trying to figure out what is going to work. They have not let this game go yet.
Still mixing it up to make it a 5-point ACU advantage as we've come to a stop with Izzy Larson getting looked at over by the Wildcats bench. She did just lay out for that one. And she's got that left hand all taped up now. Should be good. Koss tonight with 4 digs, second most for ACU. That one swatted back up front, and Meckelberg and Box able to slam the door shut.
That was a great setup by Meckelberg. Box coming in to seal the deal.
Grambling trying to play the strong hand, but ACU able to get a solid team block. Back end for Smith, got it across and tucked it in the line to pick up another point. It's kind of fluctuated at this 5-point advantage for CMU, or for ACU, should say. With both these teams scoring, though, it's Grambling can't quite afford to continue to give points to the Wildcats. Wafted across by Smith. Edmiston has it tipped up front. Back across, Carrizales lofts it up nicely. Box able to get it across. Tipped at the net. And a point awarded to Grambling. Good back and forth there. It seems like we really haven't had a whole lot of extended long volleys between the two tonight.
There have not been many, and when they have happened, it's ended in an error.
Looks like ACU is going to challenge what we saw out on the floor.
Call of net is being challenged by the Wildcats.
And that's what happens as the Tigers and Wildcats will huddle up here, just stretching more on what we were talking about. Let's look individually at some of these statistics we're seeing for Edmiston leading the way, 10 for 19 with 3 errors tonight at a 368. And then Meckelberg, 5 for 8. Not as many total attacks, but the percentage at a 63%. And then Braden Bozier as well, 4 for 12 at 33%. We talked about depth, London, and that's been something definitely that they've been able to utilize tonight, as Abilene Christian extending and enjoying a nice lead. Chris Jared, London Gray. London, something that you've seen, again, 2 back-to-back wins for ACU, and they've been looking pretty good so far in this match tonight.
Yeah, it seems like they're building off of each game that they play. Every rep that they have, you can see them doing something a little bit different. They're adjusting themselves, they're growing, they're communicating differently. They're seeing how they can play together in this new coaching era.
For Grambling, it's a team that has had a tough stretch here in Abilene in this ACU tournament, also trying to just string together positive takeaways and see if we can get a win. We touched on how long this road trip seems, where they won't be back in Grambling until the first week of October. What an effort to keep it alive by Smith, as Box was strong on the attack, and then another point for the Tigers.
That dig right there was huge for the Tigers. They're finally figuring out how to respond to that middle attack.
Piecing things together and hanging around in the second set. ACU seeing their lead trimmed to 3, and that one goes far. Smith tried that far end. Is it tough to judge that depth when it's coming in, or sometimes it's maybe right on the line where you don't know if you should play it or not?
It's tough if you're the passer directly across from that server. So a lot of times the one furthest away is the one that's got to let you know.
Edmiston with one of the few errors we've seen from her tonight, and her tally climbs 10 for 19. And give her 3 digs as well and a block up front. Meckelberg and Bozier each with 2, and tied for a team high. Back to Larson, but it was tipped up front. As Maddie Guffey back in for Abilene Christian. London, we talked about that She had been out for the last couple of matches. Rachel Koss had been taking some of that time, but now back in action for ACU. That's good to see.
It is good to see, and I'll be curious to see moving forward how they utilize both of those setters.
And Guffey, the junior, and Koss, the freshman. 19-17 our score. It's getting good here in set two. We'll go ahead for a minute and step aside from Moody Coliseum. Back after this for an exciting finish in the second set on ESPN+. It'll be Nia Ellis for Grambling, and Carrizales and Edmiston kind of right on that 50-50 territory. Carrizales got a bad reach on it, and it deflects out of bounds. Grambling has not led yet tonight. A chance to tie ACU deep in the second set right here. Ellis across, and it runs too far. And now Abilene Christian in the 20s in the second set. Interesting to see how they respond, London, to the pressure that's been applied. I mean, it looks like they've been at most times pretty comfortable, but then Grambling would show some fight. They'll work back in it as they have here in the second set.
Yeah, you're seeing Grambling kind of starting to find those weak shots like that right there, using the middle and the back row, swinging at her. They're moving that ball around, figuring out how to score.
Goes right at Box, and Brianna Box will check out. Sarah Carrizales back in. And for Grambling, some results to any adjustments that they've made as they've worked it to a 1-point deficit. Right in the hands of who they want with Anna Cauldron. Guffey setting up Larson, and it pays off. Back to a 2-point lead for ACU. Meckelberg back out. The freshman Abby Christian in for ACU. Christian gets it over. Grambling formulating their attack. That one deflects off the scoreboard. And a tough break for ACU as it looked like they might have had something to work with. And that's tough too after a really nice effort from Carrizales to lay out for it. A clean dig. There were a couple earlier today that touched the score or came close to touching the scoreboard. And I wondered, London, if they resume that, if they keep playing that, and they did not blow that dead.
As long as it lands on your side of the net, you can keep playing it.
Deflected and goes out of bounds, and another point for ACU, as it was another great serve, right short on Carrizales, but got a cleaner reach on it. Not one that touched the top of the scoreboard in Moody. Each team in the 20s in the second set as that one doesn't clear the net, and that's a massive point for ACU to build it to a 3-point lead and closing in on a set 2 win. Boy, when Grambling can formulate their attack and be clean, it seems that they've been able to put some stretches together and put points on the board. But when they commit the mistakes, that can be very tough to just give points back over to ACU.
It looks like ACU does not have a setter on the court right now. They're going for that strong block. Just misses.
That's Hannah Gonzalez. Again, another underclassman that's in for ACU. She quickly checks out. Nevaeh Scott back with the service duties. Backhand look for Bozier. Kept alive somehow by Grambling. Larson with a push across to the back end, fielded by Scott. This time this side, and a finish by Kai Williams. And what a stand by Grambling to come out with a point there. Gotta see this one again.
That's a huge point for Grambling right now.
Just took up Larson where she couldn't get to it. And as quickly as we talked about how big that point was for Abilene Christian to make it 23-20, Grambling answers with 2 of their own. We got a good one here in set 2.
You can see Grambling is just not relenting on that defense, and like I said before, they're really finding what is scoring against ACU. As long as they play clean, they can really push right here.
So both teams will huddle it up, talk things over. The hitting percentage is starting to even out a little bit, with Grambling now hitting 22 for 58 and 6 errors mixed in. Abilene Christian with 10. They can clean that up. That hitting percentage would be so much cleaner. ACU leading the digs department as well, 29-21. And then the service errors as well. Grambling with 6, ACU with 4. So some stats helping each team, some canceling each other out. Edmiston continues to lead the way, 10 for 19 tonight. And that's a match high so far. Christian had that one run right up on her and was able to keep it alive. I think Grambling wanted maybe a push on the pass as that was tipped out of bounds, and another point to the Tigers. And we are all square in set number 2. Resilience by Grambling to stay in this. This side, Edmiston has it kept alive and finally finds the floor. Her 11th kill of the night. And ACU can do it right here with one more point. Unless Grambling has something to say, they've done it very well in each of these first 2 sets, strung together runs. And they need one here. Oh, and that one eats up Cauldron. And it's point set ACU in set number 2. Wow, London, what a back and forth effort we saw. Grambling showed great fight, but it's the Wildcats come out with a set 2 win.
I want to see how Grambling will continue to carry that momentum that they started to build there at the end into this next set.
We'll kick it to a break. 3rd set coming your way after a long break inside Moody Coliseum, but the Wildcats back-to-back set wins to begin this match. Back inside Moody Coliseum, and Wildcats with a 2-set advantage over the Tigers of Grambling. Chris Jared, London Gray with you. And London recapping set number 2 as we're getting set to go in the 3rd set, but it was back and forth until the Wildcats were able to find some points down the stretch, but a good fight for Grambling, but they face a tough task here in the 3rd set.
They do, they're coming back. They need to come back from 2 back-to-back losses, but they were starting to catch a rhythm there at the end, and they can really carry that on to this next set and do something here. Yeah,
you can either see them pack it in or fight back, and we've seen the Tigers, when it feels like the momentum is swinging towards Abilene Christian, Grambling, nibbling back, and they even tied that one deep in the 2nd set before the Wildcats pulled away. Ready to go in the 3rd set, and Anna Cauldron will do the job for the Tigers. And here we go. Christian has to pull that one out from the basement. Lofted across by Edmiston. Clean attack on this end, but goes out of bounds as Nia Blair a little too strong. And again, London, we talked about ACU has never trailed, and that's something we have seen for the 3rd set now. Abilene Christian getting the 1st point in each of the 3 sets. Just starting on a good note. Izzy Larson back for ACU. Well, that one dropped fast. And Blair this time able to find a soft spot in the Wildcats defense and evens us back up at 1.
That right side attack has really been working for Grambling this whole game, and I'm shocked they haven't been using it as much, and I'm curious to see if they will continue to do that this set.
Nia Blair, just a freshman, so she's hoping to have a long impact on this program. This one up, salvaged by ACU, and what a link up with Edmiston. And she finishes the job for another kill.
That move by Madeline Guffey right there was elite, making sure she stays out of the net and is able to deliver that ball all the way to the outside still.
That was impressive by Guffey. And that's what you get, London, with getting your junior back in the mix. And Koss has certainly done a great job of carrying the torch in the meantime. Larson had that one breeze right by her left shoulder, couldn't get to it. And it's been a back and forth start to the third set.
Back to serve for Lady Tigers, number 10, Nevia Scott.
It's been a busy week on the campus of Abilene Christian as we continue this weekend that started. What a clean kill up front. And is it Edmiston again? You bet. Just keeps it on moving. Morona Alstrup has to be happy with what she's seeing from her Wildcats. Was going to say, though, it started with Keith Patterson's Wildcats on the football field getting a 31-11 win over Northern Colorado. As ACU picks up another point. And then how about women's soccer? A 5-0 shutout over UT Permian Basin. The Wildcats have not given up a goal this season so far. So good times on the campus of ACU to get the fall athletic season going. No way did Carrizales get to that. She kept it alive. Blocked up front by Box. Good look by Smith, but again, ACU with the back on the wall. And that one, an unfortunate end to a great rally.
You can really see both teams coming alive now. ACU's not coasting anymore, they got to fight.
Yeah.
And Grambling's responding well to that too.
4-3 lead for the Cats. After this ACU tournament wraps up, we've talked about Texas Tech coming to town, but after that, they'll head down to San Marcos and take on Texas State in the Texas State tournament. Southeastern Louisiana will be there. Cal will be there, and that'll be on September 9th. One Friday matchup for ACU against Southeastern Louisiana, and then a little doubleheader. They've got Cal at 11 a.m. and then Texas State at 4. Edmiston gets us back in motion. Blocked up front as Smith was looking for anything, but again, the tandem duo of Meckelberg and Box to slam the door.
They're doing a great job lining up on that outside swing.
Up to a 3-point lead for Abilene Christian in the third set. A great serve by Edmiston and cleaned up by Larson. Abilene Christian stretching their largest lead in this third set. Although early, we've seen Grambling London tonight tested, and then they've responded after big surges from ACU. It feels like it might be about that time. Benet Kyle elects to field that one, but another point back to ACU.
I think it will depend on if ACU learns from those past couple sets and knows that they can come back, and if they keep their foot on the gas and make sure that those errors stay on their side.
Just too short for Edmiston. Failed to clear the net. Give it back to Grambling, and a point as well. Makes it a 4-point lead for ACU. Kyle will check out, and they'll give Zion Smith the serve off the bench. Senior outside hitter from Fort Worth, Texas. Eckelberg had it blocked up front. Almost too long. They'll go Larson this time. Blair with it, and it finds the net. Another point back to ACU. London, you could see maybe it was Meckelberg coming on this near side. Instead, they go to Larson, and that's just the depth we've touched on tonight.
Right. And even with Larson hitting that sharp angle shot, everyone is moving the ball around.
So it's Brianna Box. 6'2" middle blocker for ACU. Guffey keeps it alive. Meckelberg tipped and picks up another point for the Cats.
That's a great handling of a tight ball, going for those high hands, getting it to where their defense cannot get to that tool.
And we'll see this one again. Box a perfect setup. And then Meckelberg able to finish the job. What an effort by Smith to lay out and keep the serve alive. And that was tipped as Edmiston challenged the Tigers up front. A far attack, an aggressive one at that, but it pays off for ACU. As another timeout taken, a little over of a minute break, so we'll step aside from Moody Coliseum as we're underway in the third set. Abilene Christian by 7 from Moody Coliseum. Back after this after a short break. Back inside Moody Coliseum after a timeout taken by Grambling. And just a few moments away from resuming the third set. Abilene Christian taking set 1, 25-18. And then how about 25-23 in the second set? They were tested, both teams really testing each other. But Abilene Christian able to withstand a late push from Grambling to take the second set. Some ground to make up for the Tigers as that one's tipped up front. But a much needed point picked up quickly by the Tigers.
Back to serve for the Lady Tigers, number 8, Nina Ellis.
Ellison to serve after Sykes picks up the point and checks out. Oh, and a late whistle, but the head official is saying that that one did indeed touch the ground after Ellis laid out for it. But Abilene Christian will get that point right back, and it's back to a 7-point advantage. Couldn't tell there at first.
I thought it was up.
It looked like it. It looked like she got there in a clean bounce. But we go the other way. The freshman Christian, the left-hander, goes off the net, and a service error will give it back to Grambling. It's been a bit of a back-and-forth swing. I think each set has obviously seen each team take their runs, but no one really going on any big stretches. It's just been maybe a little swing by ACU, answered by a point or two by Grambling, and that's what we got a 12-6 score at. Carrizales just barely keeps it on this side of the net, and that one bounces around before Larson awarded with the point. Just quick attacks, London. Again, we've talked about a lack of volleys, but maybe a credit to Abilene Christian with how they've swung it tonight. And we keep talking about the hit percentage, but it continues to improve.
Just then, Ashley was up against one block, so you have a lot of room to get that point. It looks like there's a out of rotation call.
Paige Phillips, Grambling head coach, was looking for an explanation. But yeah, that was a short serve by Larson, and she'll smile that one off and have another shot. Near side attack, tipped after the big swing from Williams. Backdoor to Bozier, just got it over. Wasn't where she wanted it. And a little scrum at the net for possession. But now a queen look from Williams. Carrizales tried to keep it alive, but it runs out of bounds. And that'll give another point to the Tigers.
That was a great job by Grambling of making calm out of the chaos in that little point up at the net.
Yeah, it was chaotic, but it seemed like, for the most part, Bozier was able to just kind of get the fist on the ball and get it back across. Christian with a nice move to dig it out, and then lets Bozier do the rest after the setup from Guffey. Clean connection by ACU up front to come up with this point. Low serve, and then Guffey right to her next door neighbor, and Bozier slams it shut. Clean attack by the Cats. Just tips the net and finds its way over. Carrizales couldn't have drawn it up any better. Fourth service ace of the night for Carrizales, and then the Wildcats picking up another point. This third set has grown to a 10-point advantage for ACU. I don't believe we've seen any set with the lead of this size for the Cats tonight. Backdoor attempt for Scott. Has it denied, but then cleanup duty for Kai Williams. Sykes checking back in for the Tigers. Nia Ellis to the bench. Here's Scott on the service duty, and a great serve to give another point to the Grambling Tigers. Back-to-back points for Grambling. As we mentioned, it was 10. Edmiston has her attempt denied. Haven't seen that too many times tonight. How about twice by the Tigers up front, led by Kai Williams. And a rare sighting that we really haven't seen tonight is Edmiston denied, and then twice in a row.
You can see that Grambling block really starting to hone in on her. That middle is shifting that direction, trying to shut her down.
Yeah. Kept alive by Box, then fought over by Guffey. Not on the same page, but it does get over. Wildcats try to regroup, but unable to. Sykes able to pick up another point, and here comes that push from Grambling that we've seen in each of the first two sets.
You could see ACU kind of taking a little bit longer in the huddle in the middle of the court just then, probably trying to reconnect, slow it back down, get that momentum back on their side.
Backside for Edmiston, not tipped, and a point will be awarded to Grambling. Abilene Christian will take a timeout. They want to talk this one over. It was a 17-7 advantage, but Grambling with 5 unanswered to make this a 5-point lead for the Cats, and will step aside from Moody Coliseum. A good one in set 3. It's been a good match all night long, but ACU leading 2-0 as we step aside from Moody Coliseum. Back for the rest of the third set after this on ESPN+. ACU 17, Grambling 12 in the third set. But don't let the score fool you. Grambling has fought back and made this a 5-point deficit after facing a 17-7 set 3 hill to overcome. They've done a great job of knifing it in half, but then right out of the timeout, London, a mistake, gives ACU a point, ends that drought.
That was a close error, but nonetheless, point goes to ACU.
Take that, anything, honestly, to end what was 5 unanswered. Here's Maddie Guffey back in for ACU, and that one runs right up on Bené Kyle. And picks up herself an ace and her first match back in action after a short little break from the schedule. Guffey again goes right back to Kyle, but fields it clean this time. Smith got it across, but sent back. Tipped over. Larson gets it across. Another near side attempt for Smith, but back against the wall effort by ACU to keep it alive. Middle attack for Kyle. Meckelberg, does she have it tipped? It was not. It was a little bit of a delay by the officials to kind of confer with each other. Meckelberg, I think All Smiles definitely thought that was tipped. We'll see, though. Did you see anything, Leonard, or did you think it was?
I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah, not too sure, but. Well, so they'll talk this one over. And it's a big point because this would put ACU at the 20 mark in this third set. Let's see if we can get ourselves a slower look at that point right there.
It looks like it goes off of
Yeah.
high hands.
Boy, that looked like it even stayed in bounds otherwise.
Maybe the pinky of the middle right,
Yeah, right
there.
there.
I
And then
think
watch this. No,
That
no,
might have-
just a little too long. But that was really close right there as well. So this will be interesting to see how this gets scored. And it's going to stay with Grambling.
I'm a little surprised.
Yeah. It's got to be really tough to tell.
Call stands and the point remains with Grambling State University.
So some subs waiting to check in as we'll pick up action in the third set. And the Wildcats still on the doorstep of finding that 20-point mark in this third set. And it's Paige Phillips for Grambling getting an explanation, talking with one of the FAR officials.
Back to serve for the Lady Tigers, number 9, Jada Felix.
London 11 service aces tonight for ACU, and just 3 for Grambling.
Yeah, that's huge. ACU's serve receive has really been showing out. They've been capitalizing on
Clean look by
Grambling's.
clean look by Box there, but a whistle before the play had concluded, and it'll give another point to the Tigers. Felix gets it across, but right to Grambling, somehow kept alive by Carrizales, and she's got a big smile on her face.
She was in the right place at the right time.
Sykes had it tipped, lofted by Edmiston, but now Grambling right back to the Wildcats. As they said, nice attempt, but here's one of our own. And a big soft middle spot that left ACU exposed. There's that fight from Grambling that we've seen in each of the first 2 sets. Barely kept alive by Edmiston. Meckelberg with a hard attempt. Over by Smith. Lofted up for Box, has hit denied. Carrizales keeping it near for Edmiston. That one goes way in the air. And then across and too long. So a long back and forth leaves Abilene Christian in front 20-15.
Now back to serve for the Wildcats, number 9, Ashley Edmiston.
ACU knocking on the door of a clean sheet tonight, London. 5 more points, and it'll be a 3-set sweep. The second in a row for ACU if they do pull this off. Tipped across and into the net. You won't have this one end, though, without a little bit of a fight from Grambling. And that's going off of the first 2 sets that we've seen so far.
Yeah, ACU does not have the room to get comfortable right now. They need to push. And Grambling, again, they have a shot.
Yeah. Gets it over, and that one able to find Meckelberg. Back across, and tip before it goes out of bounds, so another point to the Cats. Good energy for ACU out on the floor.
For the Wildcats, number 6, Brianna Box.
Box back to serve for ACU. Felix trying to set up Sykes, and she does. Back and forth swings. It's a 4-point lead for Abilene Christian.
Back to serve for the Lady Tigers, number 8, Nia Ellis.
And London, going off what you were saying, you know, can't get complacent. Well, they're up 2-0. They're this was a 10-point advantage for them, and now it's all the way down to 4. So definitely a valid point.
Grambling is just chipping away.
Larson tucks it in bounds and pushes the Cats a little bit closer through the door.
Entering the match and serving for the Wildcats, number 12, Abby Christian.
Great high swing to the deep corner.
7 freshmen on this team for ACU. 10 underclassmen total when you account for the 3 sophomores. Three juniors, 2 grad students for Abilene Christian as Carrizales digs that one out back over. Long attempt on the near side by Blair, and that one will find the scores table. Grambling with another point. 1 senior on this team, and it's Braden Bozier.
Back to serve for the Lady Tigers, number 2.
Some more subs being made as the Tigers get the personnel in that they'd want. Conference play for ACU not starting until September 25th, when they'll have Prairie View A&M University on their schedule. Sorry, that's Grambling when they begin SWAC play. For ACU, it'll be September 21st against Seattle. That'll be Groovy Cat Night inside Moody Coliseum.
It seems fun.
I mean, I'm intrigued. Like, if I read that, yeah, I might want to at least find out what that even means. Meanwhile, Grambling continuing to keep this close. It's a 2-point lead for Abilene Christian, but at 1 point, 17-7. So quick math for you, a 13-5 run. Tip the net and just lands in. It's a 1-point set. Tigers came as close as to tying it in the second set at 23 all before ACU was able to pull away with back-to-back points. And Grambling right back in a similar spot. A big point in this match, and it runs too far. London, we talked about perspective on how aggressive you are in your serves, depending on where you are in the game. If you think I'll just play this safe or try to be aggressive, that one right there is a tough point to give up.
That was a tough point to give up. It was a good aggressive miss, but I don't know if that's what Grambling needs right now. But maybe, you know, that's just the way that they want to attack the end of this game. Like, we're not going to let up. We're going to keep pushing forward. So it's just up to their culture and their mentality.
So they're going to challenge that, because I think you definitely would if it was even remotely close at this point in the match. And an incredibly pivotal call, too. This either ties it at 22, or this would keep the score at right where it's at, 23-21. Chris Jared, London Gray to my left. It's been an exciting match so far. What have been your impressions on ACU? They win set 1, they win set 2. We've got a good one here in set 3.
You know, I think that they're responding well. Grambling is throwing a lot at them, and I think that they're adjusting well. I think that they're changing their defense, their offense, they're moving the ball around. They're really, you can see how much they're growing in even just this match.
And that's important, too, under a first-year head coach. You've got someone new at the program. These players had been here, but if you're E.J. Moronu-Alstrup, you want to see that growth at this point in the season before conference play begins. Well, a tough error committed by Grambling to make it a 23-21 match, and then ACU commits one of their own, back to a 1-point set. Back in action. Edmiston denied, but Guffey got it back over. Up front tipped. Edmiston tipped it over, but Grambling there for it. Tipped, and a point out of bounds for Williams. And we are all evened up at 23. The exact same spot as we had in set 2 before Abilene Christian rattled off back-to-back points. They took the second set. Now they want to take a timeout and try to game plan this as we close in on what could be either a 3-0 sweep for ACU or Grambling with some fight left in the tank. We'll step aside from Moody Coliseum for a minute, come back for an exciting finish in set 3 on ESPN+. 23 all in set number 3, and let's see how this one shakes down. Back in action in Moody Coliseum, that one tipped up front. Lofted back across by Kyle. Bozier has it tipped, and it goes out of bounds. And a huge point for ACU. They rely on the senior to come up with a big spot. This crowd in Moody Coliseum starting to make some noise, and Paige Phillips wants to slow things down and try and stop this big push of momentum. London, you knew that that point whoever it goes to out of that timeout was going to be important, and it's ACU able to come up with it with Bozier.
Yeah, this is such a mental game at this point. And that was a great smart play by both setter and middle.
Yeah.
Getting that ball behind, hitting high, tooling off the block.
You saw that was 5 for Grambling. Zion Smith at 5'6", going up on Bozier at 6'2". So that advantage was working in every way for the senior Bozier.
Absolutely.
That's, for Grambling, a matchup nightmare at this point in the match. Want to thank everyone that helped put on this ACU home tournament pretty much all weekend long, all of yesterday and all of Saturday inside Moody Coliseum. It's been a long stretch with football on Thursday. That's an all hands on deck event, of course. Soccer on Friday, along with the ACU tournament here in Moody going on. And then the Wildcats looking to shut it down as that one's tipped up front, kept alive. Match point for ACU. Edmiston has it popped up, kept alive. Bodies collide, and Edmiston again gets it back over. Just chaos. Tipped in, swatted up front, and that'll do it. Hannah Gonzalez, the freshman, able to do it. And what a finish to this third set.
Both teams showed so much fight here. Just came out, ACU just came out on top.
Back-to-back 25-23 set wins for Abilene Christian. And EJ Moronu-Alstrup's team has now won their last 3 and give them back-to-back 3-0 match sweeps. It's big to have this momentum right now when you've got a team like Texas Tech coming to town here on Tuesday.
Yeah, having Tech coming here with a win from a home tournament is huge. That's a huge boost. It's a huge confidence boost. I think that they'll really be able to just keep rolling and riding that wave.
Some notable takeaways. Ashley Edmiston goes 16 for 37. Meckelberg 6 for 12 with just 1 mistake. 19 digs from Sarah Carrizales, the sophomore. And this was definitely a team effort. Brianna Box goes 5 for 11, no errors. Braden Bozier, who had the 24th point in that third set, 6 for 16. I mean, it was huge, and we talked about depth. You got depth tonight.
Absolutely. When you have this many players hitting over 250, or even more hitting over 300, that means that you're doing something right. That defense, led by Sarah Carrizales, is really setting them up for something special.
And they've been doing a lot right. A 3-0 match sweep for Abilene Christian to pick up their 4th win on the season. Thanks so much for tuning into our coverage tonight on ESPN+. For London Gray, I'm Chris Jared saying so long from Moody Coliseum.